Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 45 here in the Systematic Factory. We are starting out exploring our solar system with our rad rocket. Basically, we have 20 cycles of, or 20 tiles of range, and we have a little over 100 cycles that we can sit in the rocket while we're out here. And so what I'm doing is I'm just traveling to the edge. The rocket can see 3 blocks away from it. So if we park here, we'll be able to scan everything in this area all the way out to about here. And then at that point, right now we have 14 tiles left. We'll have 11 when we get here. So we'll need to do have enough to get back, but we can move up this way to get as much of this as we can. And then we'll just keep repeating the process. Once we get to the point where we get this side of the map finished, we'll have to set up a dock on the Oceania so we can reach this side, because we can't quite get from Hazardato all the way to where we need over here to get this side, but that's fine. That's what we're going to work on today anyway, is setting up a new dock on the Oceania, our main colony. The other thing we're going to be doing is working on some things back here at Hazardato to get some more things finished up. First of all, we had an incident with our carbon dioxide here because I was not paying attention to it while we were working on our farm up here. So for a couple hundred cycles, while we finished all of our pip planting, this was open and it was just dumping carbon dioxide in a frozen form out into the area. So we had liquid carbon dioxide. Well, as it started to warm up, it expanded, and this entire area is filled with carbon dioxide now. And so we have quite a bit of it. And normally I would just put in a carbon skimmer and set it, forget it, and come back later, have all the carbon dioxide gone. But this is such cold carbon dioxide that we keep cracking pipes. And so it's wasting duplicate time, it's wasting resources repairing pipes. We have some automation here with these doors that allows us to just delete some carbon dioxide, very similar to what we did in our base, handling the carbon dioxide that settles at the bottom. But basically this one, the door stays open for 10 seconds and then it closes for 10 seconds. The next one next to it closes 6 seconds later, just long enough to delete whatever gas has gone in there, and then it stays open long enough that we can get a pretty decent amount of gas flow in here, and then every time we close it, it deletes whatever gases are in it. So we're just going to let this go for a while until it gets rid of all the carbon dioxide that's down in here. It has, a lot of this is settled to like 5 kilograms per tile, and then we're going to switch this. All we'll have to do is disconnect the automation wire here and reconnect it on the other side, so that this one will remain locked so no gases can escape. And we'll do the same for this side, deleting all of this. This is a lot more, and so I wanted to be careful to not open this until I had this sealed, because there is 500 kilograms of carbon dioxide in here. So if I were to open this and let duplicates in here to do work, that gas would spill out and completely fill our map. Completely, because there's so much carbon dioxide in here. Some of the tiles are very densely packed. That's also put our bee tinies to sleep and our betas, so they're not doing any harvesting of uranium in here. We want to get that fixed up. Oh, this is probably because I didn't re-enable. Yep, I didn't re-enable food for him, so he is unable to get to food because the only food he has is berry sludge. So we're good. Now he'll be able to eat. Cool. So he is actually able to map out areas while he's flying through, which is pretty neat. So we can actually have him getting some of it done while we're moving. But once he gets here, we'll let him go and finish off this sector, and we'll move around a little bit and keep doing stuff while we work on the projects cleaning up here. Well, guys, it's been a little while since I recorded the intro. This episode, it's actually Tuesday morning now, and I am working on a video for tomorrow.
Over the weekend, I just wasn't really feeling up to doing recording, but I had time to do some playthrough, so I did a few things off camera that I'm going to show you. So first of all, I've been working with the bees here to continue harvesting up all the uranium that we have. This is actually solid clear waste, so that can go. And so can both of these. They're in the way of getting to the uranium. But basically, as we get the uranium ore dug out, I've been closing off sections so the bees aren't traveling as far and we can get more done. Up here, this beehive didn't make it because of the temperatures pushing down. So we're either going to have to open this up so they can get up to get this last bit or put a new one up there. We'll see how it goes. We'll probably end up breaking it out so we can keep the hive down here where it's cooler. Another problem I had is that I have all the stuff here that is liquefiable. I had solid carbon dioxide in here, and as it started to melt off, it filled this whole area with carbon dioxide, which put our bees to sleep. So I put in this little contraption here. If this doesn't detect hydrogen, it just closes the doors after a certain amount of time so that it has time for the gas to filter down in here and then deletes it. And once it detects hydrogen, it just sits there and waits. And so now we have hydrogen pretty much across the board. As this stuff drifts down in, once it piles up to the point where it can go up above the sensor, it will close off and break down some more. As far as that solid carbon dioxide I was talking about goes, I took it out of this dispenser and I set up a new one over here, which drops it into this geyser here. So this setup, I am trying to see if it's possible to use the cold carbon dioxide that comes out of this to cool down an area for a beehive. It's not working as well as I'd hoped. I'm probably going to end up having to run a cooling loop from our steam turbine setup to keep this as cold as we need it, because the bees need to be below zero, and this works while it's active, but as soon as this went dormant, we ran out of carbon dioxide pretty quick. There's still some down here, but it's not enough to... We would have to heat it up enough to turn it into gas to get it flowing through, and it's just more problematic than it's worth, but it's okay. This is going to be the last section of uranium I do. I'm going to set up a more permanent system here, so this will be where we drop off uranium as we bring it from other areas. I also have a setup down here that is processing the gases that spill out here. And this is opened to the reactor now, so that the cooling is just spreading across. So this is actually quite warm, so I've sealed this room off so that it can stay cold. This also, once we get the bees up and running again, as we get rid of it, we'll make this smaller, more compact, and we'll have an automatic system here for our bees to work. I need to be able to get back in here now. I was working on getting this set up the way I needed it to so that I could have a vacuum lock both ways. I didn't want the cold and the gas from this coming out, and I didn't want the heat from here getting into here and heating this area up. So I just made a liquid lock where we can go down and get through, and it's vacuumed in the middle. So everything should pretty much prevent temperature exchange. We'll see. This may be something we end up abandoning. Like I said, we'll probably... Much more efficiently, we can just have a coolant loop that comes down from our main cooling and cools this off using some super coolant. Much, much easier than this would work, but you never come up with new things if you don't try new things. So, the last big thing I did off camera involves our rockets. I set up some more rocket bays. This one is down lower because this is where I land rockets that are still petroleum-based here, if I want to convert them. And I could just destroy them wherever they are and build new ones here, but it's kind of fun to have a rocket land and then convert it to a rad bolt engine based rocket. I do still have one rocket over here that's still running, and the reason for that is because this is just going and mining coal for us, because I needed more to make steel. I have produced a lot of steel. I have 22 tons here, and then over on the main, or on the second colony, I have almost 200 tons of steel now. So, oh, I need to get plastic. Have tons of plastic here, literally. So let's just, for now, I want to set it up to automate shipping plastic over like I have with everything else. But for now, let's go to our shipping area and let's just turn on plastic. And we will have our duplicates send some across for use. The main reason we need plastic over here is because if we run out of plastic, we can't make any more dehydrated food because there's it requires plastic when we make it. So if we look at our dried mushroom wrap recipe, we have plenty of mushroom wrap, but we ran out of plastic. We can't make any more. We have a big stockpile, so it's not a big deal, but we'll get some more plastic over and then we'll work on automating that earlier. I dropped a couple of pip eggs up here by accident earlier, and they have just exploded. Like, the population just went crazy. I don't even know where the eggs came from. I think that they were in one of the rockets that I disassembled, and they have just, like, lost their minds, but it's fine. I'm just leaving them there. I don't really need the pips at the moment anymore, and I still have this farm down here that will keep us stocked with pips as long as it runs. The trees feed them, the eggs keep incubating them without any power, so not a problem. The two rockets I have here, this is my original rocket using the gas canister to provide oxygen inside. This one I've been designing to do just a little bit different. It's a mining rocket, which means I'm limited on size because the nose cone is 2 blocks bigger, and I need to have a cargo bay to hold stuff that I mine. I'm just doing a small cargo bay because I still want to have power inside this rocket while it's in flight because I need it. I've designed a system in here that's pretty interesting, I think. I have a private bedroom, I have the mess hall, I have the washroom. The water still works the same. We just load up a pipe with water and it's enough to last us for 400 cycles because it only provides water for the toilet. The food, we hold 100 kilograms. If we wanted to go longer, we would just bring more on and just let it sit on the floor or something. There's also a bunch of storage compartments here that I can put other things in. I have a couple of Atmos suits in here, but not because I have an Atmos suit dock, just because in case I want to take Bird Person out of this rocket, I put an Atmos suit on him. But otherwise, he just lives here. He can't leave. Everybody else can come in to stock things. This is his home. The gas is, I still have the same thing for the filter, but for oxygen, I have a conveyor loader system. So, oh, they haven't been stocking this because I was running a test on it, and they can't come in to stock it because this rocket is currently set to crew only. So if we set this to all, the Bird Person still can't leave. And it's still grounded, or no, now it's, oh, yeah, we don't want it grounded because we want Bird Person to be able to use his things. So, the only thing I'm not quite sure about is that I need to, when he comes here, I need to set his things. I'm going to set him manually right now just because I just switched it, but I don't know if he will automatically assign to those when we land somewhere, since he can't go anywhere else. Because once we land, it switches to grounded. I need to know how to make it so it doesn't do that. I might mess around with some automation to see if there is ways to do it. I guess what I could do is just do that and then have a switch that overrides the automation. That's because a green signal will restrict access and a red signal will unrestrict access. Actually, I guess I could just do it like this. No, I guess I should put the wire in case I do want to switch it, but then we'll just leave it at red, which means it's unrestricted. And even if the landing of it changes it, it should then handle that for us. We'll see. I'll mess around with that too. But what they're bringing in now is they're restocking food that he ate during the test time I had, and they're restocking oxalate into this. I made an oxalate refiner on Hazardato, very similar to the one we had on the other side, where this just is delivered oxygen and gold. It puts it in here, and then once this gets filled, it will shut this off. I just made this a little while ago, and we're already up to 9 tons of oxalate. And so this, whenever he comes back, they'll be able to quickly fill it up. The goal in the end is to make it so that this rocket that we're doing is an automated mining rocket. So it's going to come back, it will send a signal that it needs to be refueled, and it will refuel. That's the next thing I want to work on. And then it will, once it's all ready to go, it will send a signal to launch the rocket again, and we can set a round trip for it to mine just over and over and over again to bring us resources. For now, what I want to do is set a destination, and we're going to go to this nearest tile just to do some mining to make sure everything's working and see how that oxygen lasts. But for now, I need to wait until this oxalate is completely full. Oh, it's almost there. But I want to fill it completely because the test that I want to do is to see how much oxalate we use on that small trip. We're going to do round trip to that mining so that it can come back. He can come back and land. And when we're done, we'll see just how much oxalate we have used up. So we know what our range is based on that. We're ready to launch, and what I realized is I did not show you how this works. So the conveyor loader with the oxalate just runs all the way through the ship. It goes up here to this chute, and this chute is connected to this atmo sensor. So if the atmospheric pressure in here drops below 1.5 kilograms, it opens the chute so some oxalate will drop out on that tile. And then as it off-gasses, it will turn this off and it'll stop it from flowing out again. It seems to keep us right around 1.8 kilograms just fine. And then the carbon dioxide is just picked up with this pump. So it's like a carbon scrubber. When it goes up here, it goes out. Oh, I need to connect this because I didn't finish this part. There we go. So now oxygen will go in. Any carbon dioxide that happens to get out into the area will get picked up and shipped on out. So let's go here. We're going to set this. Everything is good now, and so we can do a begin launch sequence. As long as everything is green across the board and we don't have any, which includes not having anybody who's not supposed to be in and having our pilot in, it just launches. I'm also going to change the destination for this one and go out to here, and we're going to launch that one as well. We're going to launch this one as well so that we can go and explore some more tiles. We made a mistake with this because we installed that switch and I forgot that it defaults to on. Well, I didn't forget it defaults to on. I was thinking on meant good, and it didn't. So what I'm hoping is that since this is not going to change when it lands, he will not unassign from these things. But we're just going to have to see. If anybody has any information on the best way to handle that, let me know. But for now, he's out and he's heading to his mining destination. And we just have to keep an eye on his oxygen levels. We're not using any of this oxalate now because there's plenty of oxygen in here for the time being. But as he goes through and uses it during cycle after cycle, we want to keep an eye on this to make sure we don't get to the point where we don't have enough to get him home in an emergency. So our mining rocket has finished. It wasn't able to use all the diamond on board, which is fine. It got 12 tons. The small cargo bay only holds 12 tons instead of the 20 that the larger one holds. And so we have mud, polluted dirt, and cobalt on board. It was set to round trip. I cleared it, though, to stop because I wanted to look at it, and for another very important reason, which I will show you. But we have, over the course of the cycles that we've been running, we barely used any of our oxalate. So that is good news. It's exactly what I thought would happen because there's plenty of oxygen in here. It's just our pilot, and so it should only ever need to put a little bit of oxalate out every once in a while. And even if it puts out a lot of it, once we hit 2 kilograms per tile, it should stop off-gassing. Worst case scenario, if it off-gasses too much, we'll have extra oxygen in the room and he'll get some popped eardrums. But the other reason I'm stopping it is if we take a look at our skill screen to see our morale, with the rocket set up the way it is, our morale is sitting at 26 because we get 12 from the decor. So that's huge, because for our one achievement for the morale high ground, we need to have somebody get 10 cycles in a row in a rocket in space, above 25 morale. And so he just hanging out in here should get 5 more cycles that are like that. So I'm going to leave him in here just for 5 more cycles, just kind of drifting in space. He has all of his needs met, he'll be happy, and then we can finish that out. Our Explorer rocket, oh, also I went and renamed the Explorers. I made one Explorer, this is the Rad Rocket Miner, and this is the Deep Space Miner. That way I was not getting confused which one was which. This one has 11 tiles remaining, so it's round trip. We can go 1 more tile out, and then it would take 10 to get back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to move 1 more tile to here. That'll get these last few around here. And then we just have this last section over here to go. I don't think we're going to be able to get all the way to the edge launching this rocket off of Hazardato, because it's 10, I guess 10 would get us to here. That would get us to scan to this line, but not this one. I think we'd end up getting everything except for the very far row because of the range of this rocket. What we need to do is launch it from one of the other planetoids so that we can reach that edge. The main one would be fine, but we also want to set up at least a landing pad on all of the rockets for other achievements. So we can get this part scanned once we get to that area. But basically this rocket's just sitting here. He's doing his scanning, and then once we've scanned all of these tiles, we'll head back to refuel and we'll head out and get some more exploration done. I also launched the Deep Space Miner just to go get more carbon. We don't need more steel at the moment, but the refined carbon is also used to make diamonds. And while I have a lot of diamonds, if we look in here, diamonds are under miscellaneous. I have 136 tons here, and we have another 27 tons here. We may end up using a lot of those with our mining while we are trying to finish up the Mine the Gap achievement. Because right now we're at 150,000 out of 1 million, so we need 850,000 more mined. So we're going to need a lot of diamond. But also, if we have both of our rockets out doing mining missions, and we eventually set up more of them to do the same, we'll be able to get that achievement much quicker. So that means those are both in progress. We need to start working on getting rovers landed on all of the planetoids, and then we need to start working on this GMO AOK. This is going to be our hardest one to get because we need to mutate a bunch of different seeds. I have some different theories on how to do that. We also have a couple of seeds that have just become mutated over the course of playing. If we look in our storage... Oh, we have stuff melting in here. That's not good. Clean all this up. This is just super coolant because the other stuff melted and pushed it out. So this is liquid nuclear waste. That means that there's some solid nuclear waste in here. That means that I neglected to turn that off in here. Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, so solid nuclear waste is supposed to be stored in here, and it's sweep only. So if we go in here, just looking to see if there is any more of it in here. It doesn't look like there is. Kind of hard to tell with how much stuff I have stored in one place. I do think I might install the mod that allows you to sweep specific with a filter just for situations like this. But I try to avoid doing things that are too cheaty. I already use the infinite storages and stuff, and I feel like that's a little cheaty in itself. So I don't think we have any more in there. We'll just have to clean up what's in here and get this all taken out and stored away so that we don't have any more problems. But I'm just going to keep working with our rockets, and I'll come back to you guys once our pilot in here, bird person, achieves our morale achievement for us. We finished our achievement for morale high ground and got 10 cycles in a row where we are at 25 or more morale while in a rocket in space. And just in time, I have rockets landing here on Hazardato. So I did some automation here, and I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I figured we would try it together, see what happens. So I have a rocket landing right here. Let's just see if it activates. Looks like it's already activated the wire because the rocket is counting as there. See if it will manage to recharge and then shut off like I expect it to. Here comes our rad bolts being launched up. Probably took a little longer to get through because I had some pips in the tunnel and it had to evolve them into meat violently with some rad bolts. So once this rad bolt engine is full, which will be right now, it's going to switch this signal, which means that the main wire is going to turn to red. So it has to have a green signal from rocket here and rocket needing rad bolts. And then I just have a reflector here that's just shooting them straight up into space so that I don't have to deal with them accidentally hitting anybody. I also removed all the ladders from places where dupes could stand so that I don't accidentally have one of them getting shot. I have my other rocket coming in. It's going to take another cycle, but when that one lands, it should automatically do the same thing. Right now, there is no rocket here, so we're getting a red signal here and a red signal here because there's not an engine that needs rad bolt. Once this one is landing, it will trip this, and it will trip this because that engine needs to be recharged. So it will send a signal down, rad bolts will come up and keep recharging it, and when it's done, the excess will be shot out. So I can just keep moving this across and adding more of these to it, connected to the same automation, and we can have that. The next thing I want to work out is going to be a little more complicated because I want to get it set up so that when the rocket lands, it will unload all of its cargo. Duplicates can come in and refill the food and the oxalite, and then once it's ready to go, it'll launch again and just continually do the same trip. So there's a lot of automation to figure out with that. Probably going to involve doing some timers and things like that. So we're going to work on that in the next episode. Just to note here, I did have to make this automation wires out of tungsten. Tungsten has a melting point that's up to 3,400. If I had made it out of steel, like this one, that's at 2,400. The heat that's coming out of this rocket gets up to like 2,600, 2,700 degrees. So when I first did some testing to see if this would work, the steel automation melted almost immediately. So tungsten's the way to go. Tungsten's not too hard to make. I just set up a rock crusher. I needed some wolframite, and we made it into tungsten. I can actually get wolframite from space from the POI right here where I get the fullerene from. Or no, it's next to the one I get the fullerene from. So I can send a rocket here. It'll actually, if I wanted to, I think I could get molten tungsten from it as well. But if I just send out a cargo rocket, I'll get coal and wolframite, which are both useful things for me. So that'll be good. Let's see. See how much longer we have for this rocket to come in. Just another 99 seconds. Let's speed that up so we can watch it come back in. and then we'll make sure that this one works as well, and then we'll call it an episode for today. Other things I want to work on is getting a rocket set up for exploration to other planets so we can do landers and things like that. Getting bases, at least launch pads, set up on all the different planetoids. And we'll have to work out some things as far as like if and how we're going to recharge rockets when they're on other planetoids, because not all of them are going to have a radiation source like this one. So it's an interesting thing to figure out, but it's a fun challenge, and we will get it figured out. So let's see, 5 seconds left until landing. So our rocket is being built, which means that it decides the rocket's there even when it's not actually physically on it, and so that starts this. But since we have such a long path for our rad bolts, the rocket will be here by the time the rad bolts get here. And even if it doesn't, they'll just go past and get shot into space. And until this engine is full, then it will... oh, and we can see it already filled up, because this one didn't have a long path, so... Now all this excess rad bolts are just getting launched away. And this is turned off. So we're just waiting for all of them to come up. This entire tunnel, even though it has a ladder in it, duplicants can't get in. I put an entrance down here so that we can get items that drop, but they can't go up into where the rad bolts are going to be firing. And up here they're safe as well. So we should be good on that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. Next time we'll get into some more advanced rocketry, and hopefully it'll be a good time. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.